welcome to the Mindful UK podcast. Today I'm joined with a guest.
Hello guys, how are you all?
Name?
My name is Tavanah and I am a host and also a screenwriter.
Yeah, so me and Tavanah actually met. Was it last year? Was it last
Yeah,
year?
it was
It was
last
last year.
year.
We actually met on Mike's Comedy's podcast.
Yep.
It didn't actually get aired, did it? It
Nope.
didn't get aired.
And it was a good episode.
But the positive is that we actually met each other, both black writers. We were both just like, oh my God, you're right, I'm right. Oh, and then the friendship started from there. So yeah. So today we're starting off talking about, well, not even starting off. The topic is friendship breakups. So yeah, I can talk about this for years. So
Me too.
we're gonna we're gonna need to condense this.
Do you know what I mean?
But yeah, like how many friendship breakups have you had that have actually affected you? Because for me personally, I've stopped talking to a lot of friends in my time, but there's only been two that I can say actually affected me. What about you?
I would say one that really affected me, really hurt me. Yeah, I would say one. She used to be my best friend when I was younger.
So let's get into it. Basically,
Go on.
what happened?
I think she was going through a lot at the time that she didn't
That's always
disclose.
the case.
Yeah, she didn't disclose to me. She was staying at my house, and I think we clashed when it came to basic levels of respect. She was doing a few things while in my mother's house, and my mum's the kind of person where everything needs to be clean, you need to pick up after yourself, and you just need to be all round respectful person. Like, that's just how we're brought up. And she kind of left certain areas of the house in a not in an appropriate, not in a clean way, basically. I'm a grown ass woman, as so have you.
Wait,
at
how
that
long
point.
did this all happen, by the way?
I would say 20 years old.
Okay, cool.
I'm turning 27 this year.
Yeah.
So
okay.
coming up to 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously at that age, you would obviously know to clean up after yourself. She didn't do that, and she kind of expected me to clean up after her. And I was like, whoa, like this is you're here, and yes, you are a guest, but if I've gone to your house and I'm staying with you, I'm making sure I clean up after myself.
Yeah, that can't run.
Exactly. And it was just like from then tension kind of rised and things like that. And then out of nowhere, she just switched. It was like one thing. It was just so switch, and constantly said so many hurtful things to me that I never knew she was keeping locked in her mind.
So did this happen all in one day?
Yes, you know what? I've had two friendships. Now that I've mentioned that, two friendships that have affected me. But that one, yeah, it didn't happen on the same day. This gradually happened. And it was all over the phone, and she was saying so many horrible things to me. And I remember I was at my auntie's house and I started crying. I was so upset about it. I even tried to somewhat get her back as a friend. But at that point, I was just like, I don't actually want to be friends with someone that thinks these horrible things about me that isn't actually true.
Yeah.
But because you've assumed it, you had the confidence within yourself to still blurt it out to me. And that's where you crossed the line. And I had another situation that happened in Turkey last year.
Oh,
remember the big, she would, you know what? Because I don't even want.
Yeah, don't go deep into it, but
but
what was the beginning of the end?
Just what I learned from that are demons are real.
Oh gosh,
and that's what I learned from that situation.
But do you know what's mad? Like, the first friendship breakup sounds very similar to mine.
Yeah.
Except the difference with mine is that it was very sudden. And that is why it affected me so much. I had a friend who we were best friends when I was 2 years old, up until 20. This happened at 20 as well. And like, me and her never had arguments, never, ever, ever. But she was one of those girls who, once she got boyfriends, like, friends didn't exist. And you know them kind of friends.
Yeah, that's just, I don't, those kind of people, you even have a couple of family members that are like that as well. If I realize as soon as you're back, you already know when they're back with their man because they're silent. You don't hear from them at all. But then when they've got situations going on with their man, they always want to hit you up to complain. I don't business myself with them. You will notice that I've taken a step back because I won't say anything to you. So when I know that you're going through it and you do reach out, I'm not going to lie to you. Not my energy.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, with me, I was so patient with it. And it's funny because off air, you just said to me that I don't come across as a Sagittarius. I come across more like a Libra, innit?
Yeah.
And like, I can understand why you'd actually say that, because with that, I recognize that she was that kind of friend, but I was still friends with her. Like, I was still like, cool, we'll just see each other whenever. Like, we didn't see each other as much, but it was just like, she was literally my best friend. Like, anyone who saw me saw her, anyone who saw her saw me. Like, that's how it was, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So the beginning of the end all happened on one day. We didn't have there wasn't any bad blood in my eyes prior, but basically what happened was, she basically said that she had been depressed or whatever, and she'd spoken to her boyfriend about it. And I just said to her, like, why didn't you speak to me? Like, I've been your friend for how long? You've been with this guy for what, a year or two? Like, why didn't you say anything to me? And she got offended by that, basically saying I was being inconsiderate. And at first I was defensive, but I had a bit of reflection about it. Like, maybe I'm being a bit inconsiderate. Maybe, like, her way of dealing with things is talking to her man. So I messaged her and I just said to her, like, if that's your way of dealing with it, then cool. Like, but I'm here if you ever want to speak to me, blah, 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 blah. And then she just replied, cool, like, cool to that message. And then I just thought, like, I've just reflected and messaged you and you replied, cool. So I just said to her, don't speak to me. And then
when she said cool.
Yeah. And then, like, anyone who knows me, like, especially her, she knew me inside and out. Anyone who knows me, I don't mean it like that. Like,
No,
whatever.
I know you're upset at that point, of course.
My girl blocked me on everything.
Oh.
Like, 18 years of friendship, just like that.
And she was still with the partner.
Yeah, she probably is still with him. I don't know what's going on in her life now, but she probably is still with him. And for me, that was a massive eye opener, and that was a friendship that genuinely affected me, because it was like, anyone can just switch up at any point, you know what I mean? And part of me did think maybe we would end up speaking again. Like, she literally, like, this is my road and this is her road. That is how close we live. Yeah. And I've not seen her once. Can you imagine? And I took that as my sign, like,
that happens.
Yeah, like, God didn't want us to be friends, clearly, because if we were supposed to be friends, we would have bumped into each other, like, something would have happened. Why in these 4 years have I never seen the girl in my life? You know what I mean? And I think it's harder with a friendship breakup as well, because when you're friends like that, everybody, they become like your sister, like how that girl was in your house.
Yeah.
So she was in my house, all my friends knew her. My nieces were like only what, 1 and 3 at the time, so everybody knew her. So then after a while, family's asking me, where is she?
I hate when they do that.
Oh, but it's not even just that, because everybody who'd known us over those 18 years, say for example, if someone I've not seen for a good 5 years, I'll be like, oh, how's so and so? Oh yeah, me and her don't talk now. Oh my god, what? I would have never expected you guys to not talk. And I've got to get into, oh well, I wish I had a drama. Part of me wishes I could say, yeah, she said this and this and this about me, and that's why. But I don't even have that. Like, literally one day we just stopped talking because I said to her, why are you not talking to me about your depression or whatever it is you're going through?
You know what? I feel like she might even come back, because I feel like, no, because you know what? One thing that I have to say is that even though with the friendship breakups that I have had, you have to give everybody grace. And she was probably, obviously, like she said to you, she's gone through depression. You don't even know what, we don't even know what her partner could be feeding her as well. But through that, she has to transition, and she will reflect on the friendship that she has with you. And I honestly believe she'll come back.
No, but you know what it is with me? Yeah, I genuinely, like, there's always that part of me, because we stopped talking one time before, and I can't remember if it was me or her who reached out. But even if it was her that reached out to me, I probably would have ended up reaching out to her at some point. Like, I was open to reaching out to her. But with the second one, like, for me, it's just like, I don't think the friendship would ever be the same. Like, say we stop talking again. Like, so it's just like, if it's not going to be the same, what's the point? Like, I just, I wish you well, but there's not much point to me. So a question I wanted to ask you, like, do you think friendship breakups are worse than relationship breakups, or?
That is a very good question. I think friendship breakups kill, but so do relationship breakups. Obviously, friendships, relationships, whoever it's with, it's still a relationship at the end of the day. So I believe, like, obviously it still has the fundamentals. So we all expect loyalty, whether it comes from our man or comes from our girl bestie. We all expect someone to be there for us, support us. So when you have that as a fundamental, when that gets broken down, I feel like the pain is somewhat of the same. But
Mm-hmm.
I but then again, with relationships, I've shared a lot more things with you. I've also been very intimate with you.
Yeah.
And obviously, breakups from your partner, I'm not going to lie to you, that feels like someone's punching my chest.
Yeah.
That feels like someone's put their hand down my throat, grabbed onto my heart, and dragged it out.
Yeah.
I believe because I've learnt the art form of detachment, now if it's not meant to be and we're not supposed to be friends anymore, it's not going to hurt me as much.
Mm-hmm.
But then obviously when it comes to a relationship with a male, it's probably gonna shatter my heart into a million of pieces. So I do believe the pain can kind of is leveled from the same end.
Mm-hmm. No, I hear you.
It's a
I
good,
think
it's a
that,
good, it's a good question. It's a good debate because
yeah.
someone else could say no, friendships are 10 times worse. Blah 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 blah. That's your sister. But in my honest opinion, I don't feel like I've lost a sister.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I have my sisters.
Yeah, yeah.
But if I was to lose one of them,
Mm.
I'm not losing them. Y'all locked in forever.
No, for me, they're kind of neck and neck, you know. Like you
Mm,
see, 2019, that might have been one of the worst years for me because
mm,
that was the time. Well, my the best friend at the time, I genuinely thought she was gonna be in my life for the rest of my life. Like me and her used to say our kids are gonna be best friends. We used to even say like we're gonna live together when we're older. Like we had all of these little things we said we're gonna do when we're like old women and whatever. And same thing, I had a boyfriend at the time as well, and I genuinely thought I was gonna be with him for the rest of my life. So 2019 was crazy because it was like I broke up, I broke up with my boyfriend, and then like 2 months later, my best friend's gone too. So it was like the two people who I genuinely believe
yeah,
like
that's
they're not going nowhere were both
mm,
gone. And I
that
think
must have been rough. I can't
it,
even
it
lie
I
to
feel
you.
like it altered my brain chemistry.
Of
Not gonna
course.
lie, since then I've not actually met someone apart from my family and like thought ahead like we're gonna be like this when we're or like I have like yeah, not just my family. I've
Mm,
not met anyone and been like, oh, like imagine the future and did it. And I think it's a defense mechanism because when I did it before and those people left my life, like it genuinely crushed me. It was like I had plans that don't come into fruition, and
mm,
doing it again just like affects me in a way.
mm.
Um, so yeah, it's really weird because had they happened like maybe a year apart or something, I could then determine. But because it was so close together, it was like I don't know,
Yeah, of course.
all in one time.
I was obviously like thinking, what would I feel like I'd fight for my friendships more than my mum.
No, literally, no, I feel
Because
you.
I don't know if it's because of social media.
Wait, but wouldn't that mean that they matter more to you then? That it
My
hurts more?
friendships, yep, in all it's so bad to say on camera because you know what? If you're the love of my life and you're out there and you're watching this, I will love you through and through and go over the mountain hilltops for you. But at the
Mm,
same time, if he hurts me, it's my girls that I'm going to.
exactly. You
It's the
always need your
sisterhood.
girls,
Yeah. And I
always.
feel like as women, we had it. And obviously, since that recent situation that I think I've mentioned to you about, but we won't even get into that. But um, seeing obviously a young girl, what she went through on the platform, and seeing other women look at her and walk past her at
No,
that
get into
moment.
it because I
She's
saw
like,
that TikTok. You saw a girl and she was
yeah.
crying on the platform and everyone
Y-
was walking past her, innit?
Yeah, so I was coming back from the cinema watching, and you know what's so crazy? I've been dying to watch that movie, Evil Dead Rising. And when I watched it, everyone was like, "Oh, it's such a good movie! Oh my gosh, I was so scared afterwards." All those TikToks. First and foremost, don't always believe what TikTok tell
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
because as a writer, obviously as a writer,
It just makes it so hard to watch things in it. You're just like, what is this?
girl, there was no structure. There was
And
no
how do they
structure.
make it onto the big screens? How?
Sis,
Oh.
sis, I was saying this is not fair because this movie had one location, one location,
Yeah, dead.
which was in an apartment room,
Mm-hmm.
and it was all found. But anyways, horror movie wasn't good. Out
Mm-hmm.
of 10, give it a 4. Um, as I've come off the train now after the cinema, I've come off, and if you're coming from Highbury and Islington from the overground, there's usually around probably 100 people coming off the train. Yeah. As I've come off, I'm walking up. and there's so many people in front of me. And as I'm getting closer to the stairs to go to exit the station, there's a young girl on the floor sitting, crying her eyes out, her phone dashed to the side. And I'm thinking, oh, for have your phone dashed to the side on the floor in London, you have no care in the world. So then I've obviously like waited to see if someone would go and speak with her. And I can't get this lady out of my head, but it was a blonde lady, and she just literally stared at her as she was walking constantly like that. Yeah. And I thought, so you're not gonna go up to her. And she was young.
And do you know what's crazy to me? Like, there's a lot of advocacy for mental health online.
No, please. That's why
London,
I'm angry.
London doesn't care.
They don't care. And that's crazy. Why I was so angry, because I was like, well, I can't do this. My conscience won't allow it. So I've gone up to her and I asked her if you're okay. She did the whole please go, it's okay, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I'm going to be honest with you. You don't look okay. And I don't necessarily feel comfortable leaving you in this state. So can you just at least let me know what it is that's upset you? Your phone is ringing. Do you want me to speak with them? Like, you're in safe hands. Don't worry about it. I can listen to you. And then she was then like to me, she's waiting for the next train to end her life. And for myself, I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
And you know, when obviously working in schools, you get all the training in the world of safeguarding, but it was this particular thing that I had no idea what to say back to her.
I can only imagine.
I was just like, oh crap, now like I felt like, oh my god, your life is now in my hands.
And thank God you stopped. Like,
thank you, but I was so livid. And even when I was speaking with her, people were just looking down. No one said anything. And obviously I spoke with her, she's okay now, she's getting help, I've put her in touch with a therapist and whatever, thank the graces of God. But what aggravated me is the fact that women are not for women anymore. Like, how can you see a young girl sitting on the floor? And everyone knows on trains and on tubes, sexual assault and harassment is ripe.
Yeah.
It is literally ripe. And the fact that you see that, they even have advertisements on TFL. Don't just look, do something about it.
Yeah.
Yet that is still not working. And for women to look at that young girl and do nothing, it just goes to show that these women are not doing what is needed. We're supposed to have each other's backs.
It's just weird. I think it's just a London in general thing, because you see in London, everyone's so like monotone. Like, everyone sits on a train and it's just dead silent.
Yeah.
Like even if someone says hello to you in London, you're like,
they're like, what are you doing?
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of how
it
it is. And I don't know. I don't know if it's that people don't care, but I think it's they care about how they're perceived. Like, they think,
yes, that is true.
And you know what else?
And they care about the reaction that they will get from the other person as well.
Exactly. Because a lot of people don't like to speak up in certain situations.
It's
like
pathetic.
It's like a flock of sheep kind of thing.
Yeah.
One person does one thing and everyone else follows. No one likes to be the one to step out and go down the other alley.
No one likes to follow a different path.
Yeah.
They all want to copy each other. It's so sick, because people are more prone to bring out their phones and record than it is to help.
Yeah. Do you know what? That's so true. Do you know what happened the other day? I was walking to work,
right,
and a bike sat on, like an electric bike.
I saw that
on fire,
crazy.
Like out of nowhere. I'm hearing pop, 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 and I just see the bike just set alight. And I looked. I'm looking, and I see people standing there, and everyone's just recording. I can't see anyone with a phone to their ear or talking. I was like,
but why did the firefighters? But why do this? Is what I fail to understand. Why you see a bike on fire? There's not a person on fire. Spider-Man's not flying from frigging building to building. You know, it's a bike on fire. Why did you feel the need to record it?
Exactly.
Is it like, are people chasing the clout? Are people chasing the million views? Are people chasing a viral moment?
At this point, I don't know. It's crazy.
It's just this.
Sometimes it benefits, like George Floyd, for example. If she wasn't recording, wouldn't be prosecuted.
We wouldn't have. Yeah.
But like, deal with it first. Like, I'm standing there and I'm seeing people record before they think to dial 999. My first instinct was call 999, but like, I'm like, what the hell? This first time I called 999, I felt very mature.
I've called 999 a couple of times and been placed on hold.
Is it?
Yes.
No way.
Yes. I've called 999 a couple of times and been placed on hold.
That's crazy.
Literally.
Okay, wait, we went off on a tangent.
Yeah.
But back to the friendship breakups, yeah. Do you know what's mad to me? Just breakups in general, not even just friendships, but for me, friendships as well, because I'm a very caring friend. Like, I really care about well-being and whatever. And I did have one friend that I stopped talking to last year as well, and I'd be lying if I said it didn't affect me either. um Me and her were pretty close, but this one was different. It wasn't sudden like the first girl. This was very, very gradual. And what it was that when we would go out, she would just like be a bit reckless. Like she'd always get in fights every time we
Oh
went out.
Lord.
And for me, I'm not a
Oof,
confrontational person
I've
unless
been
like,
there.
say for example, no, but say for example, my friend like is in a situation that I can understand. I'm gonna back her. But she was getting in arguments all the time, and it's like you're the common denominator, and the situations you're not actually in the right for a lot of them as well. So it wasn't like when it happened, I didn't say anything to her. Like I would speak to her on the phone, or I'd say to her like the way you acted wasn't okay, da 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 da, and she's like I'm so sorry, da da da, and she was going through things in her life, and I recognized that, and I was like to her like I know you're going through things, and I know this behavior is coming out. Well, it was only coming out when she drank actually, but I knew that when she drank, those behaviors were coming out because
She's
of her
suffering.
personal life. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly what it was. So I was being very mindful of that, but as a friend, it can be very emotionally draining
Of
when
course.
you have something like that going on. So for me, the final straw was we went out. It was actually for her birthday, and she got in another fight.
Oh, on her
And
birthday.
yeah, can you imagine? And I'm trying to calm her down. Everyone's trying to calm her down. Bearing in mind, it's a big group of us. Everyone's trying to calm her down. It's not working. And because I was closest with her, my friends came up to me and were like, "Maya, go and calm her down." So I go and try to calm her down, and she just starts effing and blinding and going crazy. And I hold myself accountable to this because my reaction, I think it was a mixture of the alcohol, and because several times before we'd been in the situation and I'd pulled her up on it. So the fact that she was in the situation again and then she's trying to be rude to me when I'm trying to diffuse the situation, I just saw red. She screamed at me and I went insane. And it was so embarrassing because it was on the main road. But after that, like I was annoyed at myself for stooping down to that level, but I was also like, I can't be friends with someone who brings me to this level
Of
because
course,
I,
yeah.
I don't ever get to this level. So the fact that I got here tells me I now need to get out of this
It's yeah.
friendship. And it's really sad because I do care about her. I'd be lying if I said I didn't care. Like I really do hope she's
Of
doing well in
course.
life. And it's mad because I saw somebody say on social media, like a friendship breakup is kind of like, well, breakups in general is like grieving someone who isn't dead, and it is like that. It's like you miss certain qualities about them, you miss spending time with them, and yeah, there's things you miss, and it's not like they're gone, they're still alive and their life is still going on, and you
Mm.
can just wonder like, oh well, I hope they're doing okay, but kind of like that, have that peace of mind knowing we're not meant to be friends, like we didn't get along enough, and that's how it is.
Um, yeah, somewhat of that is true. Somewhat of that is true. Yeah, you're not supposed to be friends, but I do also believe that like people a lot of people are going to go through these kind of scenarios. And for myself, I'll be honest, it took a lot of time and effort and money with therapy to get me to where I am now, where I've got more of a clear mind, and now
Mm-hmm.
like the subconscious doesn't, like the pain from what I've been through in the past doesn't come forward. I always say if I've gone and done the work, you need to also do the work. You need to be responsible for your damn self. You need to take accountability for your own actions. And I also just feel like I wish people wouldn't see it from a perspective of, oh, I'm not going to do therapy, or I'm not going to change myself for anybody else and blah, blah, blah. I feel like, no, change yourself for you. Go and get
But do you
help
know what
for
was
you.
annoying? With this friend particularly, she was going to therapy. She was going to therapy and she was very self aware. She recognized, she was like, I know what I did
She
is
hasn't
wrong
got a
and I
therapist that
know da da
connects
da
with
da da
her.
da.
Yeah.
And yeah, like it would happen again. And it was just like, for
She
me, it
don't,
was a
yeah.
bit more tiring in that aspect because it's like, okay, well, you're doing everything to help yourself. So why are you still
I've
acting this
had
way?
I've had a fair share of therapists, and it took me quite a while to find a therapist that has helped me grow in life. And one thing in particular is you need to make sure that you have a level with your therapist, a connection, a good connection where they actually believe in you and they see you for you. A lot
Mm-hmm.
of people don't have that. I've come from therapists where I've had them tell me, oh, well, you do this because of this and you do this because of that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just that.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
just saying A, B, C, and D, but there's nothing in between that.
Yeah.
They're not really a person-centered therapist, and that's what a lot of people need.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's very important to also have a therapist that can relate, that comes from your culture, that can understand from a certain level, because there's so many therapists out there that just see it as a job. And obviously what the
Yeah.
NHS is doing to workers, nurses, the doctors, and the
Yeah, they're burnt
therapists,
out as well.
they're burnt out, and they're not doing their job 100%. So that obviously affecting their clients, and they're not getting the right help. Hopefully she gets the right help, but it's giving that she's just got someone that's just doing their job. They're not going above and beyond for their well-being.
Yeah.
And that's what's sad.
If you don't mind me asking, what motivated you to get a therapist in the first place?
Fun. So how mine came about, I was working in a college on the admin side of things, and I came, and this woman, graceful woman, came and sat opposite me, asking me for advice and things like that. And she just started having a conversation with me, and then I'm an open book. I gave her a bit of like my baggage, just like, oh, a lot is going on with family. And she was just like, well, you're such a lovely girl, blah, blah, blah. She gave me her card, and I put it in my purse, and I was like, it's there for in case I need it. But I was obviously going through a horrendous breakup, and I couldn't see the light. There was just like, it was like God helped me get to a certain place, but then everything was fuzzy, and I just didn't know what happened next. And I knew I needed the help, but advice from my friends and my family wasn't the same. So I thought, let me just talk to someone that doesn't know me like that, that isn't going to judge me straight away. Spoken with her, and I'm still with her today. It's been like two going on 3 years deep now.
Oh, go on.
And honestly, heaven sent. And I send everyone to her. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I like to hear that. That's really nice, honestly.
I think I'm a big advocate for therapy. Everyone should get therapy. Every single person.
I think the problem is it's expensive.
Do your research. Not not all of them are expensive. Some are charging £30 an hour. Some are charging £50 an hour. Like, you can, if you do it once a month, sure, you can afford that.
And I think there's a little bit of a stigma around therapy too. Like, people tend to think if they go to therapy, like something's wrong with them or whatever. Like, we need people to talk to, man.
Exactly. And I feel like the people that don't go to therapy, I feel like there's something more wrong with you, because you're content with how you are.
Yeah,
you're content with your aggression and your abuse and how you treat people. Like, you really think that's how you're supposed to treat others?
Yeah, exactly.
No, I would more give someone a bit of a look if they're not going therapy. Get your ass into therapy and sort out your issues, because you for your whole life you can't just turn into those people that will be like, oh, she's just stuck in her ways. Really,
exactly.
Do better. Exactly. Yeah. 100%.
Well, yeah. With friendship breakups, I don't know. We went off on a tangent, but
I feel it's a good tangent.
It's been a very, very good tangent. But yeah, the friendship breakups, like,
I think it's necessary.
It's 100% necessary. And I think it's nice reaching that point where you're not gonna speak again, but you're not bitter, you're not angry.
That's the best mind frame.
You know? Yeah. I think that's a nice place to be, and then kind of just recognizing I recognize that I'm different now. I recognize that those breakups have affected the way that I am with friends now, and even relationships. But the first step is recognizing it. Now I know that's the case. I've got to make those changes to myself. Yeah, you know, start trusting people.
Of course, I would say yes. Start trusting people, but you need to. One thing a friend told me is, people are going to be people.
Facts.
Park them where they need to be parked. You don't necessarily have to lock off communication and not speak with them. Yeah. But you park them somewhere where they're not too close, they're not too far away. You can enjoy the positive side of them. Yeah. But just don't get in too deep. And I feel like that's a healthier approach.
I think that's excellent advice. Yeah. Excellent. Oh. Literally.
No, that's what I do now. I park people. Like, I had a friend, and she said something. I was going through like a situationship breakup, as you do. And she made a comment that upset me. And she said she came from a place of, she was on his side, then she was on my side, but his side was wrong, right? But it was, the line that she used was like, well, if I was him, I would have blocked you by now. And from then, and I'm not, I've taken a step back, and I said to her, in all honesty, I don't want to know about your relationships anymore, and I'm not going to feel comfortable talking about my relationships anymore. But we talk about things that we do have in common.
Yeah, it's just about, it's healthy, isn't it?
It's healthy that way.
I think that's what I was going to say before. What you just said, that advice you gave, is what I tried to do with that last friend I stopped talking to. I tried to do that with her, but it was too late. We were in too deep.
And then it wasn't meant to be.
Yeah, and then it all crumbled. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching the podcast. Why am I singing?
Sing, girl.
Yeah, I've had Tavanah with me. Thank you so much for appearing. Thanks for watching, guys. And I hope you are mindful today.
Amen.